If we have a look at, as I usually do, with these same companies, again, I'm not giving recommendation with these. I've just used these as the same reference point in every event. And you can see here, the amazing thing to me is, we've just had the world's biggest pandemic for 100 years. We've got issues, we've got economic pressures, we've got infrastructure problems, we've got movement restrictions, we've got everything going against almost every business. Yet somehow you look at that list and pretty much everybody's profit went up except somehow Pfizer. That doesn't seem to make sense. Pfizer went from a 16 to a 7. How can that be? I think that's because they're so generous in giving out so many vaccines apparently. But you can see there, BHP's profit up, HSBC's, their profit went down thanks to write-downs. But you can see, all up, Bank of America down a bit, but still $16 billion profit. They're huge numbers. How do you make that sort of money even in a global pandemic? And you see the stock price as a result, over on the right-hand side, you've got BHP up 11%, HSBC, its profit went down, its share price went up 22%. Bank of America, its profit almost went down by 40%, its share price went up 60%. These are strange numbers. CBA, went up a little bit of profit, 50% increase in the share price. Microsoft up another 40%. Wow. I hope you've been buying those every year when we talk, because if you have, you'd almost be ready to retire. And then Coca-Cola, it's still gone up 11%. So everything just on that comparative list has done pretty well. And they're not even the best performers. But again, you can see no matter what happens in the world, the stock markets have the capacity to adapt and expand if that's where the market wants to go. One of the key reasons for that is there's an enormous amount of capital that's flowing into those stock markets all the time from pension funds, hedge funds, managed investment funds. The amount of capital available is huge in the world right now. And it has to go somewhere and it has to return a result, because if it doesn't return a result, the people that gave it will pull it away. So the pressure to perform is huge. If we look at the key indexes, the Dow Jones was up 24.7% year on year. And again, we snapshot this on the 9th of September every year. And you see the All Ordinaries, as expected, to outperform 26.4, pipped it at the post. Now, I'm quite surprised that the Dow Jones did that well, but most of it was post last year's event. And the FTSE had a great year at 16.7, even though they've been massively impacted by COVID and have had some of the longest restrictions out of almost every country on the planet. So you can see, despite what might be going on, money doesn't seem to care. And money somehow makes money all the time. Hence why that rich get richer philosophy. Hence why that 10% of the wealth, 10% of the rich hold 80% of the wealth. It doesn't make sense in the US. But this is why, because the wealth have the money deployed and invested and find a way for it to go up in value. Whether it's real or not, it doesn't matter. These are locked in. They cash out their profits, I'm sure, and therefore that wealth becomes real. Again, just as a reference point, let's look at Bitcoin. Last year I was saying that speculators had come back, and last year I was flabbergasted that Bitcoin, which again I remind you is officially worth nothing, had hit a market capitalization last December of 360 billion. And I said, how can you value anything if nothing, which Bitcoin is worth 360 billion? Well, just to show you how much nothing became worth over the course of the year, there's Bitcoin going from a 360 market cap in December, and it hit $1.18 trillion value in April. So that's almost tripled in value in the course of less than 4 months. That is unbelievable. But it happened. So it can't be unbelievable. It was factual. And this is the crazy thing. How can you ever say that nothing is possible, or that matters, or that's right, if anything can happen? And Bitcoin always proves the point, because it's factually nothing. It fell from 1.18 trillion to a low of 559 just 3 months later. But look, it's already recovered back to almost $1 trillion as recently as this week. So how does that happen? How does something this volatile go up and down? Very simple. Volume. There's almost 70 million punters with Bitcoin wallets in the system. So if you can get millions of people to believe the same story at the same time, you can do anything financially. And that's what it's all about. Now, to finish off with the stock market, where do I think the next year's stock market goes? Well, I still think there's very good value. I think we're going into recovery mode. So if we're ever going to have logical reason for a good year on the stock market, this should be it, because we're now seeing things allegedly normalize. We're seeing markets open up, borders open up, trade open up. Things are getting resettled. The vaccinations are in play and allowing people to get back to a level of normality. So I would think that my prediction for the stock market is a reasonable year. Now, I'm not sure it'll be a double-digit growth year. So I'm expecting to have a modest and reasonable growth year because we've had too many good ones. And I think we've already pre-priced some of the recovery there. So prediction number one, stock markets to be reasonable.